Greetings as we go into Disneyland April 2025. Can you believe we're already here? I'm David Vaughn, your friendly Disneyland enthusiast, and in this video, I'm gonna cover everything that you need to know before you go, from the attraction closures to special things happening around the park, especially for Star Wars fans. I'm gonna talk about recommendations for food and wine and so much more. So let's just get right into it. So what can you unfortunately expect to be closed during April? Well, starting off with It's a Small World. That's gonna reopen April 25th. It's been closed for a bit. They were changing out the holiday overlay, but we also know that we're getting new additions to it, including Miguel from Coco in the Mexico scene. So that'll be really cool. I think getting ready for Disneyland's 70th anniversary, which kicks off on May 16th, Disney want to make sure that this ride, which a lot of people are going to expect to be open, is fully ready to go and totally finished with its refurbishment. Also, the Indiana Jones Adventure sadly closed on St. Patrick's Day, but will reopen or is scheduled to reopen on April 25th, 2025. Not a super extended closure, but longer than we typically see. The Red Brick Creek Challenge Trail will also reopen on April 11th. And that's a Disney California Adventure. I ping-ponged here a little bit. Sorry about that, guys. We also have the Matterhorn bobsleds. So these aren't gonna close until April 28th. I don't really know exactly what's happening. It seems like they're just changing out some things, but sometimes we see permits for just light details. It might just be, again, getting ready for the 70th anniversary, because my guess is it's gonna be reopened before May 16th, but we just don't have a reopening date yet. So it's probably just some light work to make sure the ride's good to go, because remember, it's a very old roller coaster. Then we also have the Enchanted Tiki Room closing. I cannot remember the last time the Enchanted Tiki Room was closed for refurbishment. Those birds just keep going and going. Maybe there are things they can do with them, after the park closes to kind of tweak that ride, but it's crazy. This ride never goes under refurb. But as you can tell, all the classic rides, they're paying a little bit more attention to detail in terms of keeping them refreshed. Again, another one I do expect to open by May 16th for the 70th anniversary celebration beginning, but we just don't have a full date yet, so I'll keep you posted about that. Also, Sorcerer's Workshop and Anna and Elsa's Royal Welcome will also close at Disney California Adventure. So these are the animation building attractions. So we'll have to also see how long those are closed for, because Disneyland hasn't officially told us. A lot of this has kind of just popped up recently. But again, I will keep you posted if there's anything big to announce about some of these attractions reopening. Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln is also still closed all this month, as well as Pixie Hollow. Literally don't know when Pixie Hollow's plan to reopen. Maybe by the 70th anniversary. It's been closed for quite a while, and kind of strange because Disneyland is almost like acting like this attraction's not around. It kind of feels like sometimes, I don't know, but it is still all there. I'm not sure exactly when they plan to reopen it as a character meet. We do know that Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln will reopen later this year. However, before that, on Disneyland's actual birthday, July 17th, that will reopen as this new show with a Walt Disney animatronic. It looks really cool, but I do talk about that in the 70th anniversary video, so if you want to check that out, I get a little bit more into detail about that. I should link that at the end, actually. As always, attraction closures are subject to change. New attractions may be added to the closure list. If I see anything big, again, just make sure you're subscribed here so I can keep you updated about things happening at Disneyland. That's what I love to do here. Next up, talking about the Disneyland fireworks. Are they gonna be playing on the day that you're gonna be going? Should you plan your visit around them? Well, just to let you know, Mickey's Mixed Magic is still the one that's been happening. Basically, this is going to be the show that's gonna run until May 16th. If you haven't seen it before, I really like it. I know some of the hardcore Disneyland fans aren't a huge fan of it because it's the show that typically plays when they cancel another show. However, I think it's great with the fireworks. If you like EDM music, it has like EDM remixes of Disney songs. I think it's fun. I like it. But Mickey's Mixed Magic will be playing pretty much every single night during the week without fireworks. So during the week at Disneyland is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then the weekends are Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So expect fireworks to be added to the show on these dates. So we do have April 4th through 6th, 11th through 13th, 18th through 20th, and 25th through 27th. Just keep in mind, there aren't any weekday fireworks scheduled. So if you are going during the week, just know you'll see the show. It'll have projections, it'll have lasers. I personally recommend standing on Main Street to see it, just because that's where you're gonna see most of the special effects. You won't be as close to the castle, but if you really want to get like the full immersive experience of this, I do recommend Main Street. Also, we're gonna get into, you will be able to watch the fireworks from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. They call it Fire of the Rising Moons. It happens right above the spires. If you stand near the Millennium Falcon, that's the best spot to watch it. I do recommend for that one, get there like 30 minutes beforehand, maybe a little bit more. Sometimes they don't let you line up that far ahead, but it's nice to kind of be around there for that time. But there's a new thing also coming to Galaxy's Edge that I think will tie in better to this, but I'm gonna get to that in just a moment. I also want to note that Fantasmic will also play during these dates. It looks so far like it won't be happening during the week. The fireworks will be at 9:30 p.m. You can catch Fantasmic at 9 p.m. and then again at 10:30 p.m. on the weekends. But a third important thing to note is that Disneyland Park will close early at 8 p.m. on these dates for Star Wars Night. So if you don't have a Star Wars Night ticket, you gotta leave the park. You can go to Disney California Adventure if you have a park hopper or a Magic Key. In fact, my recommendation, start off at Disneyland Park, do what you need to do there during that day, then go over to Disney California Adventure once you finish everything at Disneyland. And Disney California Adventures typically will stay open later. World of Color plays almost every single day, so that's a really good benefit to you too. You get to watch that show. You can stick around there, eat, do whatever you want, ride the attractions. That's my recommended plan, is start off with Disneyland, do everything, and then hop over to Disney California Adventure if you're planning a full day at the Disneyland Resort at both parks. So, Star Wars Night, what is it? What's happening? Well, the good news is, if you thought Star Wars Night was sold out, it's not. Maybe this year it's just a bit pricier. Maybe this year people's spending habits are a bit different. But unlike previous years, only one night has sold out, which is May the 4th, which is the actual Star Wars day. So it's kind of not surprising to me. In fact, I predicted this is going to be the day that sells out first. So far, it's the only date that's sold out. I think as we get into April, we'll start to see more and more dates, go and get bought up. But during these dates, these are just the April dates that I'm listing here. You can dress in costume and come to the park for Star Wars Night, which is not something that adults can do during the typical part of the day. You can meet rare characters. You can see Star Wars attractions. There's no fireworks anymore for most of these Disneyland After Dark events. However, they did add some special entertainment. You might see more projections around. They did add some stuff in front of the castle to do this like dark side versus light side last time. They kind of work their way into surprising us, but I think if you want to have fewer people in the parks, because I think they keep it around like 30% capacity, but I don't have official word on that yet. That's just sort of like an estimate I was given. Don't purchase your tickets based on that estimate. I would just say for me, it does feel about a third capacity even when it's sold out. If Star Wars Night is not for you though, there is another daytime event called Star Wars Season of the Force, and you do not need a special ticket to experience this. So what is Season of the Force? Well, it's also based around May the 4th, the holiday. So, well, it's a Star Wars holiday, non-official. Disneyland, as a Disneyland person, it's a holiday for us, all right? So Star Wars Day is on May the 4th, so they start these festivities back on March 28th. Through May 11th, you can experience Star Wars Season of the Force with specialty snacks, merchandise that are usually, it can be sometimes just limited for this event time. There will also be Hyperspace Mountain, which is the Star Wars version of the attraction. Basically, Hyperspace Mountain is the same ride. They just add Star Wars lighting, music, sound effects, things like that to make you feel like you're in it. You also see like lasers shoot over you. It's really cool. It's my favorite version of the ride. I know every time I run a poll on it, people say they prefer Hyperspace Mountain over regular Space Mountain. So there is that. And personally, I'm really glad they bring it back year after year because I absolutely love Hyperspace Mountain. There will also be Luke Skywalker walking around Galaxy's Edge. You might see him with R2-D2. There's also going to be a new projection show that will play during the night. It sounds like it's going to play often at night, and it covers what happens during the Skywalker saga, so it's kind of highlighting all of that, and it will project, looks like behind the Millennium Falcon there. However, originally I thought maybe this was just going to be for something to see before you watch the fireworks. However, I think it's going to be like they do in Small World with the projections, where this actually happens multiple times throughout the night. So my predicted hot item of Star Wars Season of the Force is going to be this Death Star popcorn bucket. The popcorn buckets are usually very popular. I can't say whether or not it's going to sell out or if they've ordered a ton of these, but I do know that it appears at least that this one has already debuted on Disney Cruise Line, and if it's the same one, it'll light up, it'll look really cool. So I am excited for this one, and I think a lot of people are gonna dig it when it finally does come out. All right, so what is Disneyland doing for Easter? I could make an entire video really going into all of this, but I'm gonna give you the highlights because I think some of the stuff is kind of missable. But one of the popular things is Egg Extravaganza, which is just like basically a scavenger hunt that you can do around downtown Disney, and also Disneyland Park and Disney California Adventure. So you can pick up a game board, they're $9.99. You go around and you look for different items. Basically, there's all of these locations where you can pick it up, and then once you find all of these eggs hidden throughout the parks downtown Disney, then you get to collect a special souvenir for it. So this year it looks like they're just these little like paintable wooden egg character type things that look like they come with like a little paint bucket. And even if you don't finish, you can just tell them, hey, we didn't finish our board, and they'll give you one anyway, because you're essentially paying for this and then the little cardboard board. So you're kind of prepaying for this merch item if you think about it. But in the description, I will post where you can get all of these character egg locations and where they can go on sale. And as far as snacks go, there aren't a ton of snacks you can enjoy just for Easter. However, I will say if you go to Candy Palace, Bing Bong Sweet Stuff, and Disney Wonderful World of Sweets in downtown Disney, you're gonna find a lot of seasonal snacks shaped just like these Easter characters. So you might see like a bunny cereal treat, a chick cake pop, a pink mini caramel apple, things like that. Things that just look very Eastery. There aren't a ton of new snacks available just for this event. However, Goofy's Kitchen will have a springtime dining experience that runs from April 3rd through May 9th. So it says, join Goofy and some of his friends in their garden-inspired outfits while you feast on delicious bites for breakfast, brunch, and dinner. And I will post where you can book that in the description below. But basically, this is gonna be Goofy's Kitchen at the Disneyland Hotel, and you don't need a theme park ticket to experience this. You go to the Disneyland Hotel, you can meet Goofy and his friends, and they're wearing special springtime outfits. Usually there's a photo op with Goofy. It's fun. It's just not, it's just something fun to kind of do in an Easter feel, and you don't necessarily have to do it on Easter Day. So if you got something going on with the family, but you wanted to celebrate Easter in some other way, this might be a really fun way to do that. And keep in mind for this one, there will be dining for breakfast, brunch, and dinner. Also keep in mind that some of the other hotel dining spots and around downtown Disney might have their own Easter that you can celebrate there as well. Sometimes this will actually be on Easter Day, or it'll be around Easter Day. But there is more food to enjoy. If you haven't done the Disney California Adventure Food and Wine Festival, it still takes place through April 21st. So there'll be booths around Disney California Adventure where you can go and purchase snacks. This is not like a separate event. It takes place during the daytime. Also, usually the booths run from like 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. or something like that. But you can go in there, grab some of these snacks. Here are a few items that I highly recommend. So I love the sirloin Gruyere mac and cheese. It was like so creamy, and then they had the sirloin was like really hearty. Last year I know they put it with the mash. This year paired with the mac was awesome, so flavorful. Definitely a winner this year, and that one's $9. So if you're getting the Sip and Savor Pass, which is basically a pass you can go to get 8 different food items, or 4, there's 2 different versions of it. So if you're getting these 4 items, you might think about getting the Sip and Savor Pass because it could save you some money. Anyway, you can get that pass. It'll work with the pass. I have a whole video on the pass. I also really liked the musubi. That was so delicious. Another really good one for the Sip and Savor Pass, but the glaze on that ham was absolutely incredible. Love that one big time. And I also, a lot of people love this one as well, as this creme brulee churro that you can find at Terran Treats. Now, I don't necessarily recommend this for the Sip and Savor Pass price-wise, but it was so, like the creme brulee on it had like little pieces. You know the creme brulee, you crack it and it's got that caramelized top, like the pieces of that cracked over, but it was like, just like creamy, like all the things that I love about creme brulee on top of that churro just tasted so good. Absolutely loved it. A lot of people said it was one of their favorites. So I definitely put it in my top 10. It was fantastic. So if you want to try a really unique churro, because who knows, this may never be back again. get the creme brulee one in Avengers Campus. So now you might be wondering, how can I skip out on some of these lines? How can I avoid some of these crowds in April? Because it is possible we'll see some schools there during their spring break, even though many have them in March. My recommendation would be always get there at park opening, because you can hit a lot of the rides at the beginning. And if you're getting Lightning Lane Multipass, which I'll talk about in just a moment, you will be also able to book more Lightning Lanes if you get there early. So you will be able to maximize it a bit better. So that's always my recommendation. However, something that I did notice recently, especially this year, is that a lot of folks are not going to the park on the day that there is a Disneyland After Dark event. So if you know those Star Wars dates that I posted earlier, it might be a good idea for you to pop in on like a Tuesday or a Thursday and see, because it seemed like there just weren't that many people there, especially during 90s night. Something I noticed. Now, I can't guarantee that for you, but I'm just saying, if you want to make a plan for those days, take a little chance. You might be pleasantly surprised, because I saw some rides that were like 10-minute waits. I believe Space Mountain was like 10 minutes for a lot of the day when I was checking. So just something to think about, little tidbit from me to you. And as always, I post tips like that here on my YouTube channel. So if you haven't already subscribed, please, I would love if you did, so I can keep sharing my Disneyland tips for you. And then also, if you're getting Lightning Lane Multipass, these are the ones that I recommend. So we've got Space Mountain, Matterhorn Bobsleds, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, Haunted Mansion. Okay, so why isn't Indiana Jones in there? Well, it's because it's closed for most of the month. When it reopens, I would probably, it's hard to know. On hotter days, Tiana's Bayou Adventure is going to be more close to the top. On more, tepid days, cooler days, you're probably going to see this being like a third rank. But these are just ones I noticed book up faster. So these are the ones I'm saying you don't want to miss out, because if you go for another attraction going, oh, it's right now, and then by the time you go back, you might see that Matterhorn is 3 hours out in the future and you kind of missed out on a bit. So that's what I recommend for Disneyland. And then at Disney California Adventure, Guardians of the Galaxy, Toy Story Mania, and Web Slingers. Guardians always a top priority there. It just seems to be the one that gets a lot of booking. There's also sometimes maintenance on the elevator shaft. So it's just in case, I would say go for Guardians. And I do notice that Toy Story also tends to get longer lines more throughout the day. So always a good choice in my opinion. If you have any questions about visiting Disneyland in April, please leave them in the comments below. I mean, you can also ask about other months too. I can do my best. And again, I will keep you updated with more things that you need to know for the Disneyland park. And thanks so much for watching this. I appreciate it.